And they bring 45 home runs to the plate. Junior Caminero, as the crowd gets into it here at Lone Depot Park. They're going to get into it in a big way. Gone, a home run! Junior Caminero, a laser beam to center.
That ball had levels to it. That swing had levels to it. This Dominican crowd here in Miami wanted something to cheer for. The people of Santo Domingo, where he's from, had something to cheer for now.
Hey, I was watching the World Baseball Classic recently, and something just felt off. In the WBC, you've got major league ball players, international superstars, league MVPs, and future Hall of Famers. And somehow, they look completely different in the WBC.
Ohtani with 3 Grand Slams in his MLB career. Looking for one in the WBC. The 2-1 now. Ohtani lights it up! It is gone! Ohtani, of course! And the Tokyo Dome is on fire!
On the WBC stage, they've got more energy, more emotion, more intensity. They're locked in. They're alive. And it made me realize they're not faking it out there. So I started asking myself, why? Why do they care more? Why do they play so hard when they're getting paid less? Why do they play so hard when they're not in full season form yet? And when they could get seriously injured? And then it hit me. It's about what they're playing for and who they get to be when they play in the World Baseball Classic. And that reminded me of something that happened to me years ago. Something I didn't fully understand at the time, but I can see it crystal clear now. It was 3 a.m. and I was sitting at a bar. It's just me and the bartender in the place. I'm 24 years old and he's at least twice my age, if not more. I'm totally sober. And as the bartender tops off the one drink I've been nursing for the past hour, he starts to lay into me, telling me what an idiot I am, how incompetent I am, and how my life will most likely never amount to anything. Now he's about 5 minutes into this nonstop stream of insults and criticisms when I start to cry. Now you got to understand, I'm a self-proclaimed macho man. I played football in high school against guys who got scholarships to Division I schools. I played rugby all through college at the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. And we were one of the best rugby clubs in the country. And I can probably count on one hand the number of times I had cried since I was 10 years old. Yeah, not many. But there I was, bawling my eyes out. And the most f***ed thing about this whole scene was that at the ripe old age of 24, I owned the damn bar. In fact, my younger brother and I owned the whole freaking restaurant. And this asshole worked for us. But at that moment, I had hit rock bottom. And this guy knew it. He saw his opportunity and he took it. Now, after I'd regained some of my composure, my loyal employee, he softened a bit. And he proceeded to tell me how the restaurant bar business really worked. I learned a lot that night about restaurant cash flow, what gets hidden from the owner, and the unique and creative ways our own general manager was robbing us blind. But by far, the most important lesson I learned that night was about myself, who I really was, and how that related to what business I should be in. The next day, my brother and I put a close sign on the restaurant's front door. We never reopened, and neither of us has ever looked back. And that's what hit me when I was watching the World Baseball Classic. Those players weren't just playing baseball. They were playing as who they actually are. They weren't Yankees or Dodgers or Astros. They were Venezuelans, Dominicans, Japanese, Puerto Ricans. And it's when that switch happens that everything changes. Same players, completely different energy.
It's turned over to this Team Dominican bullpen that's given up just 1 run in 22 innings in this tournament. Gregory Soto, the lefty's on to face Roman Anthony here. Fly ball right center field. Rodriguez and Tatis going back. Here it is gone. Roman Anthony gives the U.S. the lead. Well, the one that got away for Team Italy. And a pretty good guy to add to the lineup for Team U.S.
And in business, I've found this shows up in a few very specific ways. First, I realized that all of my most successful businesses were connected to who I actually am, not just what I can do. Second, sometimes you don't realize you're actually faking it until something wakes you up. And third, the closer my business is to who I actually am, the more energy I tend to bring to it without forcing it. You know, the day after we closed our restaurant, and 2 days after my 3 a.m. browbeating, I set out to build a business that was truly me. That day, I started my quest to build a maritime shipping company. Because owning and operating ships was who I was at the time. And my eyes were now finally open to see it. And yes, I ultimately built that shipping company with 2 partners. And the massive energy and the stones, yeah, I said the stones, because that's a good sailor maritime term, by the way. The energy and the stones that it took to build that company felt almost effortless. Not because it was easy, because it definitely wasn't, but because I wasn't playing the role of a businessman anymore. Like being a Dodger or a Yankee. I was stepping into who I truly was at the time, a maritime entrepreneur. Now, that identity evolves for all of us. It's supposed to. In fact, I'm not in the shipping business anymore. I sold my interest several years ago because I had changed. Today, I focus on building entrepreneurs. But that lesson has stuck with me. When your business matches who you are, everything changes. So when I ask, are you faking it in your business? I'm not telling you to quit. I'm telling you to stop pretending. Because I did it, and I'll never do it again. It took a 3 a.m. wake-up call for me to finally see it, but I got the message. Now I play a completely different game. Still building businesses, but it's a different version of me that's building those respective businesses. And that's the difference. Those guys in the World Baseball Classic, they're not faking it, and it shows. So maybe the real question isn't, what should I be doing next in my business? Maybe the question is this actually me? Not just what you're building, but how you're showing up every day. So I'll ask you straight. Are you playing this game as yourself, or are you still faking it? Because if it's really you, you won't have to force it. You'll know.
It's up to Roman Anthony. The United States down to its last strike. Venezuela, the best in baseball.
Drop me a comment and let me know.